They say age diminishes attraction. They lie. Age is not weakness. Age is not irrelevance. Age is leverage. Raw, unyielding power forged in the fires of time. You stand there, older, wiser, unbreakable. While they chase fleeting youth running endless treadmills of validation, you command respect without asking for it. Not because of your face, not because of your body, but because of something invisible that only comes with years of discipline. Control. Here is the brutal truth the culture will never tell you. Attraction is not about youth. Attraction is about depth. And depth takes time. In the next 15 minutes, you are going to discover the 6 invisible signs that separate the men who become more powerful with age from the men who fade into irrelevance. And if you understand these signs, if you embody them, you will become something that younger men cannot compete with. Master your mind, or it will master you. Sign 1. Emotional unshakability, the anchor. The first sign is emotional unshakability. You remain unmoved. Storms rage around you. Chaos erupts. Crisis hits, and you stand there, steady, solid, like an anchor in violent waters. This is not coldness. This is not indifference. This is control. Neuroscience explains what is happening. Your prefrontal cortex, the rational mind, is overriding your amygdala, which fires in panic. Most men are slaves to that amygdala. They explode, they panic, they react. But a man with emotional unshakability has trained his brain. He has taught his nervous system that chaos is information, not danger. And here is what is fascinating. Mirror neurons in other people's brains reflect your internal state. If you are internally stable, they sense it, they feel it. Their own amygdala calms in your presence. This is why an older man who remains calm under pressure is a magnet. Epictetus said 2,000 years ago, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." And that is exactly what you are demonstrating through emotional unshakability. The practice is simple. It is called the 3-second rule. When something happens that would normally trigger you, an insult, bad news, rejection, frustration, you pause. 3 full seconds. No response. No explanation. No reaction. Just space. In those 3 seconds, your amygdala begins to calm. Your prefrontal cortex comes back online, and suddenly, you have a choice. Most men never reach that moment. They explode before they even know they are triggered. But a man who practices the 3-second rule, he becomes a different man. He becomes someone who chooses his response, and choice is power. Pause and reflect. When was the last time you applied the 3-second rule? Pause, breathe, choose your response. If this resonates, comment, "I am building my frame." Sign 2. Radical intentionality. The decision maker. The second sign is radical intentionality. You decide. No wavering, no negotiation, no maybe. Just clear, deliberate direction. Modern culture teaches ambiguity. I do not know. Let me think. What do you want to do? This is the language of men who have surrendered their authority, and it is deeply unattractive. But you know what you want. You move toward it with absolute clarity. Every decision deliberate, every word weighted, every action purposeful. Seneca warned, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it, and you refuse to waste it on indecision." An older man has no excuse for ambiguity. You have lived long enough to know what matters. You have failed enough to know what does not work. You have succeeded enough to know what you value. So you decide. Yes. No. This is the plan. This is where we are going. Not aggressive, not dictatorial, just clear. And that clarity is magnetic. Because in a world of confusion, a man who knows what he wants stands out. A man who moves with intention commands respect instinctively. The practice is this. Identify one area of your life where you are still wishy-washy. Maybe it is your fitness. Maybe it is your career direction. Maybe it is how you spend your time. Pick that area and declare, publicly, if possible, "This is my vision. This is my non-negotiable. This is where I am moving." And then move. without asking for permission, without seeking validation, just relentless clarity. In 90 days, the transformation will be visible, and when it is, people will recognize you as a man who knows where he is going. Pause and reflect. What vision are you pursuing today without compromise? Sign 3. Silver discipline, mastery over time. The third sign is silver discipline. Discipline is your armor, and unlike the armor of youth which fades, the armor of discipline deepens with time. Most men stop. They hit 40, 50 and they give themselves permission to decline. They eat what they want. They stop learning. They settle, and they fade. But you refuse to settle. You maintain. You sharpen. You ascend. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." And you embody that. You turn obstacles into fuel. Every limitation becomes a reason to improve. Think about the neuroscience. Discipline triggers dopamine in your brain, but not the cheap dopamine of immediate gratification. The deep dopamine of progress, of mastery, of becoming. That dopamine wires your brain for sustained victory, not momentary pleasure. An older man who maintains his body, his mind, his presence, despite the friction of aging, despite the convenience of decline, that man broadcasts something profound. He says, through action, "I am not finished, I am not declined, I am still becoming." And that message is intoxicating to people. The practice is simple. Pick one hard thing, one skill that requires sustained effort, one goal that demands you show up when you do not feel like it. Maybe it is fitness. Maybe it is learning a language. Maybe it is mastering a craft. Maybe it is building a business. The domain does not matter. What matters is that you choose difficulty when ease is available, and you commit for 90 days, without negotiation, without permission to skip. What happens in those 90 days is you rewire your identity. You are not just building a skill. You are telling yourself, through action, that you are the kind of man who commits, who does not negotiate with himself, who follows through. Pause and reflect. What habit are you disciplining right now to sharpen your edge? Sign 4. Sovereign boundaries. No apology required. The fourth sign is sovereign boundaries. A boundary is not a wall. A boundary is clarity. And clarity commands respect. Most men explain their boundaries. They negotiate them. They apologize for them. And in doing so, they weaken them. But a man with sovereign boundaries states them clearly. Once, and then holds them, without wavering, without apology. Epictetus taught, "No man is free who is not master of himself." And mastery of yourself begins with mastery of your boundaries, your time, your energy, your space. An older man has no excuse for wishy-washy boundaries. You have lived long enough to know what is acceptable and what is not. You have learned, through painful experience, what costs you your peace. So you declare, calmly, clearly, without justification, "No." That is the entire sentence. And when they push, you repeat it. "I understand, but my answer is no." What is happening neurologically is powerful. Your prefrontal cortex asserts control. Their amygdala fires in response to the clarity, but that clarity also teaches them that you cannot be manipulated, that you have decided what your boundaries are and they will not move. And over time, they adapt. They respect the boundary because the boundary holds. The practice is this. Identify one area where you have been wishy-washy, one place where you have been explaining yourself, one space where you have been trying to keep peace by shrinking, and draw a line. State it calmly. No explanation, no negotiation, no adjustment. This is how it is, and mean it. Pause and reflect. Where have you allowed boundaries to blur, and how will you enforce them? Sign 5. Deep listening, presence without fixing. The fifth sign is deep listening, and it is the most underrated form of power. Most men believe power is about talking, about having the answer, about dispensing wisdom. But the deepest power is the opposite. It is the ability to listen without judging, to hear without trying to fix, to sit with someone in their struggle without rushing to solve it. Seneca said, "Often it is not the hearing that is hard, but the silence that follows. Because in that silence, you are communicating something profound. You are saying, 'I do not need to prove my value. I do not need to fix you. I simply want to be present.' This is especially powerful for an older man. You have lived. You have failed. You have succeeded. You understand the texture of human experience in a way that younger men do not. And when that understanding is offered as presence rather than advice, it creates intimacy that younger men cannot compete with. Here is what is happening neurologically. Mirror neurons in the other person's brain are firing in sync with yours. They are not mirroring defensiveness. They are not mirroring judgment. They are mirroring presence, acceptance, true listening, and that neurological sync creates bonds that words cannot build. The practice is simple, but uncommon. In your next conversation with someone important, practice silence. Listen fully. Do not prepare your response while they speak. Do not think about how to fix their problem. Simply receive what they are telling you, and watch what happens. The connection deepens, the intimacy grows, and your presence becomes more powerful than any advice you could offer. Pause and reflect. When did you last listen without agenda, truly? Sign 6. Silent authority. Presence without proclamation. The 6th sign is silent authority. Authority embodied, not proclaimed. Power that radiates from within without needing to announce itself. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." And that is exactly what silent authority is. It is being, not saying. They sense it. You do not announce it. Neuroscience reveals the mechanism. It is called embodied cognition. Your posture communicates confidence. Your gaze communicates clarity. Your voice communicates certainty. And your nervous system, when it is regulated, puts other nervous systems at ease. The amygdala in other people's brains calms in your presence. Not because you are kind, but because you are stable. Because you are clear. Because you are someone who has mastered himself. An older man with silent authority is recognized immediately. He does not need a title or a credential. His presence does the work. The practice is this. Stop trying to convince people of your value. Your value is not determined by their perception. Your value is determined by how you live, by the choices you make, by the standards you hold, by the discipline you maintain. When you stop seeking validation and start simply being excellent, something shifts. People sense the shift. They defer instinctively. They recognize authority when it is embodied. Pause and reflect. How does your presence command respect without words? The integration, the architecture of attraction. These 6 signs are not separate. They are integrated. Emotional unshakability grounds intentionality. Discipline enforces boundaries. Deep listening builds authority. They reinforce each other. Together, they form what we call frame. Not a brittle frame built on external validation, but a frame built on internal architecture. This is why an older man can be more attractive than a younger man. Because he has had time to build this architecture. He has weathered failure. He has learned what matters. He has paid the price of wisdom. Age is not a liability. Age is leverage. A 25-year-old man has potential. An older man with these 6 signs has actualized power. He has not just the promise of greatness. He has the evidence of it. Written in his presence. Embodied in his choices. Felt in every interaction. Epictetus said, "Control what you can, accept what you cannot, and you control your mind. You forge your character. You reclaim your life, and the world responds, not because you demand it, but because you have become the kind of man who naturally commands it. Your next 90 days. You now understand the 6 signs. But understanding is not transformation. Transformation comes from implementation. So here is what happens in the next 90 days. Weeks 1 to 2, emotional unshakability practice the 3-second rule obsessively. Every trigger, 3 seconds, no exception. Your nervous system will begin to recalibrate. Weeks 3 to 4, Radical intentionality. Declare one vision, one non-negotiable, commit publicly, and move toward it with absolute clarity. Weeks 5 to 8. Silver discipline. Pick one hard thing, commit for 90 days. Show up even when you do not feel like it. Weeks 9 to 10. Sovereign boundaries. Identify one boundary that has been wishy-washy. Draw a line. Hold it. No negotiation. Weeks 11-12. Deep listening. In every conversation, practice presence. Listen without agenda. Watch the connection deepen. Weeks 13-15. Silent authority. Stop seeking validation. Start simply being excellent. Let your presence do the work. If you actually do this, in 90 days you will be different. Not just externally, internally. Your presence will shift. Your confidence will deepen. Your sense of possibility will expand. And people will notice. They will not be able to put their finger on what changed, but they will feel it, and they will respond to you differently. That is the power of building frame. You are not old. You are evolved. You are not fading. You are becoming more yourself. Your age is not a cage. It is your leverage. Leverage it. Command attraction through presence, not through desperation. Become a man of frame. Comment, I am building my frame if you are ready to begin. Do not comment for me. Comment for yourself. Public commitment rewires your neural circuits. It tells your brain that this is no longer an idea. This is a decision. And decisions, when backed by action, change everything. Like this video, if it spoke to you, share it with a man who needs to understand that his best years are not behind him. Subscribe to the Stoic Equilibrium for weekly deep dives into applied philosophy, neuroscience, and the transformation that separates the strong from the weak. Master your mind. Forge your character. Reclaim your life.